Lecture is for the week of April 27th for 7th and 8th grade religion. And this week our topic is morality. So we touched on morality last week a little bit, and I want to go deeper into this. And the purpose of it is to really give you a framework, or to continue to give you a framework for your thinking as we especially prepare for 8th grade to graduate from BVM, but really for all of us to grow in our ability to use the minds that we have in order to think critically and evaluate what's going on around us so that we can be the most free and effective disciples of Jesus Christ that we can be. So that's our goal. Our goal is to be the most free and effective disciples or followers of Jesus that we can be. All right? And so to do this, I want to take some notes with you, and these notes are going to be about what morality is, what character is, and we're going to talk about truth. So our notes today are on morality, character, and objective truth. So I want you to take notes as you follow along with this video. All right, these are for the week of April 27th, so you can date your notes, April 27th, 2020. And we're going to begin. So the question before us is, what is morality? What do we mean when we talk about morality? Morality is the quality of our actions whereby they are right or wrong. Morality is the quality of our actions whereby they are right or wrong. All right? So that's kind of a really dense description of morality. So I want to break that down with you a little bit. First, I'm going to read to you from the Catholic Encyclopedia a longer definition of morality just for you to think about. And then I want to bullet point what morality is not. So here's the longer definition. Morality is the quality given to human action by reason of its conformity to standards or rules according to which it should be regulated. This assumes that human actions are voluntary and responsible, and that there are standards and rules by which human actions should be measured. That is a mouthful. That sounds pretty dense. What can we say about this? Number one, morality is not a list of things to do and not do. That is not what morality is. Morality is not a limiting of your freedom. So often we think if there's a question of right or wrong, that means that I'm not going to get to do what I want to do. But true human freedom is rooted in choosing the good or what is right. Remember from the lecture last week, happiness doesn't always mean I will feel happy, right? But when we make choices that are going to lead to our happiness, when we make them in the moment, we may not feel happy. So how about one more not? Morality is not a list of things the church teaches to keep people obedient. This point is really important. A lot of people will criticize the Catholic Church or Christian churches, saying that the Catholic Church just wants to control people, and that's not what it's about. What our church wants is what Jesus wants. Jesus wants freedom for us to choose the good. That's what we were created for, right? If we're made in God's image and likeness, then that means we were made for the good and ultimately to love and to be loved. We're made for communion, right? We were made for communion. So another point that we really want to think about here is this idea of morality is getting at the question of reason, or our ability to think, also called the intellect, free will, our ability to choose, and our ability to love, right? Reason or intellect, our ability to think, free will, our ability to choose, and our ability to love, the three powers of the human soul. Incredible stuff here. So when we think about these three powers, what does morality have to do with this? Well, in making a good moral choice, we want to be able to think through the choice we are going to make. What are the pros and the cons? What would the consequences, either negative or positive, be if I made this moral choice? Remember, moral choices have a right and a wrong answer. Moral choices are about things that are either right to do or wrong to do. Example, very obvious. You are angry at someone. They have hurt your feelings. They've done something really mean or wrong to you. Some people can become so enraged and consumed by anger that they might decide to kill somebody out of that anger. It is never morally right to take another human life, no matter what. So that would be a moral choice, right? How about our sexuality? So when you're not married, when you haven't given yourself in covenant love to another person, then you are not free to express love in certain ways, physically with your body, or even certain emotional attachment that you could have to another person. So if I am not married, then it would not be correct for me to engage in sexual intercourse, for example, because I haven't pledged my covenant love to that other person. So that is also a moral choice. How do I express love to another person depending on where I'm at in my life? And if I'm not married, then there's a limitation to how I express my love because I haven't made the commitment that needs to go along with that expression of love. All right, so we need to think through the choices that we're going to make. And then with free will, when we are truly free, we can choose for ourselves. We call this a voluntary action or choice. So we have to be really free to make a voluntary action or choice. What do I mean? If a person is under pressure by another person and being forced to do something that's morally wrong, they are not responsible. Example, what if someone is being forced into prostitution? If they're being forced into prostitution, they are not morally culpable, meaning they are not responsible because they have not freely chosen to participate. Their action is not voluntary. How about another example? A high school senior falls in love with another classmate. He wants to have sex with her. He knows it isn't right, but pursues it, and she agrees. They have sex. This is a voluntary action. They are morally culpable meaning they are responsible. Now, if he forced the girl to have sex with him, would she be responsible? No, she would not, because she would not have made a voluntary choice or action, right? So anytime someone isn't free to choose on their own, then their choice is not voluntary. But when we are free to choose, when we're not being forced, then our choice is voluntary and we are morally culpable, meaning we are responsible. All right, this is pretty dense. We're kind of coming into the tail end of the notes, and we're going to review this on Thursday during our Zoom class. So what do we have to say about love here? Well, as we defined it early on in the year, love desires the good of the other person, right? So love requires a free gift of self out of love, meaning not what I can get from the other, but wanting what's best for them. So if we have trained our hearts to love well, then that's going to help us make good moral choices, because we will want to choose what's good for the other person, right? And that connects with ourselves too. If we love God, then we also grow in our ability to love ourselves and to love others. This will help us make choices that are good moral choices because they are rooted in love. Excellent. All right, my last point that I want to make, or rather two more points that I want to make with you, but just one more point that we're going to take notes on, has to do with the idea or question of character. So I'm going to pan over to a video clip that I'm going to show you, and then I'll have a few notes on.
Just as I have a dream, my poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream.
So we just watched a really powerful clip from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous I Have a Dream speech, which he shared in August of 1963. And this particular part of the speech, he highlights something really important. Dr. King says, I have a dream that one day, or that my 4 children one day will live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream that my 4 children one day will live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Is Dr. King saying that we should never judge people? No, he's not. He's not saying we should never judge people. Rather, he's saying we should not judge people by how they look, their appearances, the color of their skin, but rather by the content of their character. What is character? What does that word mean? You've probably heard it before. People have told you, you need to develop your character. You need to have a good character. What is character? So our character can be defined as the mental or moral qualities distinctive, that is, particular to an individual. The mental or moral qualities particular to an individual. So what are some examples of character? Examples. Someone who is honest. That person would be known for their honesty, right? So honesty is part of their character. That's a moral quality. Another example, let me just get this to line up better. Another example, what about a mental quality? Someone who has good judgment, meaning they can evaluate a situation clearly and make a good moral choice through their evaluation. That's a good mental quality, to have good judgment, right? How about another example? Someone who is kind. Even with difficult people or when they're tired, they still show kindness. They're attentive to the needs of others. So in their character, they're known for their kindness. How would people describe you? How would they describe your character? How would you describe your character? These are important questions. The way that others see us or perceive us affects how they trust us and how they relate to us. Right? Sorry, I'm getting a little excited here with my formatting. All right. So character. We'll talk more about this in the Zoom class on Thursday. And finally, what I want to give you a preview of is this idea of objective truth. Objective truths are always true. Objective truths are always true. This is very important. And this can help us to develop our character. They don't depend on my knowledge or opinion or even my awareness. Example, the fact that you are alive right now is an objective truth. You would still be alive whether you believed it or not, or had an opinion about your life. Whether or not an objective truth is true does not depend on me. Now we can contrast this with a subjective statement. This is based on my knowledge, opinion, or awareness. So we're talking about objective truth, which doesn't depend on me, and a subjective statement, which has to do with my knowledge, opinion, or awareness. Now, I want you to go to Google Classroom and you're going to find an assignment for subjective or objective. And this is a worksheet that I created for you, and each one of you has a copy of it. And you're going to read each statement and decide whether it says something that is subjectively or objectively true. So remember, something that's an objective truth is not based on my knowledge or opinion or awareness. Something that's a subjective truth is based on my opinion, my awareness, my knowledge. So I want you to look at your notes if you need some help with that to make sure that you fill this out accurately. So let's do the first one together. Homemade pizza is better than takeout. Is that objective or subjective? Well, it's subjective, right? It's based on my opinion. I think homemade pizza is better than takeout, but you might not agree. Or maybe I make better homemade pizza, but somebody else might not make as good of homemade pizza as I make, and so they prefer and think that takeout pizza is better. All right? So you're going to go through and read each statement and decide whether it's subjective or objective as far as the truth concerned. Okay? That is all I have for you. You guys are doing awesome. Make sure that you turn in your notes and complete this graphic organizer and the reflection questions before our Zoom class on Thursday. Thank you guys so much. God bless you.